Welcome to week 10. In this week, you're going to look at quantitative studies and distinguishing the different components within them. So here's the assignment list. Again, I always encourage you to look at the outcomes as well as the description. Let's skip down real quickly to the directions that you'll need. You need to use the EBSCOhost database, which is actually a database of databases. So EBSCO is going to be your best shot. If you end up using something other than EBSCOhost, just make sure to run that past your professor. You need to find a primary quantitative study related to your PICO question. So this isn't a literature review, it's not a meta-synthesis, it's not a meta-analysis. It needs to be a primary quantitative study where the authors collected data and analyzed that data and then presented their findings. So you need to do something that is a primary quantitative study related to your PICO question. You do need to read the entire article. You also need to make sure that you provide a full APA reference, 6th edition, right up here in the top box. And then you're going to distinguish the different components. Many of these can be found in the very beginning in the abstract, but it's important to also look throughout the article for the rest of this information. And you'll submit the grid that's down below. You also need to submit a PDF of your article in order to receive points. So that way, if we can go in and we can check and make sure that the information that you are seeing and the information that we're seeing for the same category matches. So you're going to have your reference at the top for your quantitative article, and then the purpose and research question. This is not your research question. This is not your PICO question. It is the research question addressed in the study that you've read the article for, as well as the research design. The sample, this is who they used in their study. The setting is where the study took place. Human rights protection. It says indicated or implied. That does not mean to just write indicated or implied. Generally in a study, they will mention whether IRB clearance was obtained or whether participants were able to leave the study at any point in time, other aspects like that. So sometimes it's a very specific thing, such as where the IRB was obtained and what the process looked like. Other times it's implied, but through those specific statements of allowing for attrition, making sure that participants didn't feel that they were stuck in the study, making sure they weren't coerced by large sums of money, that kind of thing. The results of the study need to be here, as well as the implications to nursing. Some of these articles may not necessarily be from the field of nursing. Some of them may be from related fields that tie in, such as social work, sociology, psychology, medical journals, things like that. So tying the implication to what that means to the field of nursing. Also, what are some of the strengths and weaknesses of the study? These are generally indicated. Strengths you sometimes need to dig for. Weaknesses is often listed as a limitations section within the paper. And then a summary of the statement for practice. So what does that mean? We're talking about evidence-based practice. What does that evidence mean for practice? The independent and dependent variables. These tend to throw students for a loop sometimes. Please make sure that you are looking at what the independent versus dependent variables are. Reference back to your book, and I can give you more information specifically about what those are. Make sure those are indicated here. That's one of the areas that students often tend to either invert them and flip them around or not quite understand what those mean. Also, statistical tests used. So this means, did they do a chi-square? Did they do an ANOVA? What kind of statistical test did they run on it? So if you look at that, that's always indicated in the article. And so it shouldn't be too hard to find. You need to put that as well. And then there's a little bit of your rubric. So if you have any questions, please let your professor know.